Hello, I'm Paul French, Director of Music for Southern Oregon Repertory Singers, and I'm here as part of our series of Glimpses of Beauty, interviews with singers and composers in lieu of the music that we can't bring to you live. I'm here today with a truly talented musician, Laurie Hunter, who has done so many things. And Laurie, first of all, hello, good morning.
Good morning to you too.
How are you? How are you holding up? It's such a strange time.
It is, and I'm fortunate to still have a church position where I'm able to make music every Sunday. Even though it's we don't have an audience, a live audience, but it's live streamed, and that gives me opportunities, and of course the teaching music over Zoom and occasional recitals with people, students at SOU, grad students. I feel like I've got enough, not enough, but I have some musical projects going. Of course, as we all do, we miss the choral singing very much. But I've got lots of projects around the house to keep me busy.
So Laurie is uh, a fantastic pianist and a wonderful singer and a great teacher. She's got her hands in so many different pots, as many musicians do. Honestly, uh, how did all of this come about? What's your story?
Wow. Well, what you just said reminded me of a critical thing that a teacher said to me once when I was in college, um, and that was uh, that in order to have a career in music, one needed to be versatile. That if I put all my eggs in one basket, the chances of success are more limited. And actually, that was kind of my natural inclination anyway. I was interested in so many different things. I went to college. The college I went to, I chose because of their choir. For one, a fantastic choral program there, and also it was a small enough place that I could also study piano. And at the time, I was playing the oboe, so I was able to study oboe with the principal of the Winnipeg Symphony while still pursuing piano and some great choral singing. That kind of got me going with choirs. So I mean, of course, it started before that. Obviously, I've been, I started grew up in the Episcopal Church in Los Angeles, so I had singing opportunities, with choirs in the church starting when I was about 6 years old, and which is about the time I started, piano lessons as well, and had a fantastic teacher that I, studied with in Santa Monica, before we moved from Los Angeles to the middle of nowhere to a two traffic light town in northern Ontario, Canada, where my opportunities were a little bit more limited. I ended up commuting down to Toronto for piano lessons there. But the whole graded system in Canada, if you play piano, you have to be in, well, what grade are you in? Because everything's part of this Royal Conservatory graded system. And I, uh, kind of, not meaning to brag or anything, but their system only went up to, you had to have your grade 10 before you could have your diploma. And I was already playing diploma pieces and diploma level. And it sort of, it kind of, long story short, I felt like I was being, pulled back. And maybe because of that, I ended up finding my way into accompanying and collaborative piano playing with other musicians, which I really, really enjoyed. And that kind of later became my focus when I went to New York to study to do my master's at Juilliard in collaborative piano. Um, then I guess the other story along with that I wanted to just make mention of is that when I got to New York, because I had gone to a college that had this fantastic choral program, I found myself in New York City thinking, well, here's all the best musicians. There's surely got to be, has to be great choral singing here. And I tried to find the best of the community choirs, and I went to one rehearsal, and it was so bad that I had to, oh man, I had to kind of give it up. Learning later that the better choral groups in New York were the ones that were paid singers, that you had to, there was a an agent there that specifically hired for people, put together choral groups for the symphony or for big projects. So I kind of lose it, but I didn't sing for a number of years. Where I found my way into opera, was working as a vocal coach, studying languages, and sort of all the things that you needed to know to survive in the opera world. Ended up as an assistant conductor at New York City Opera for a number of seasons, and where I ended up making a conducting debut, and sort of thought, okay, well, maybe I'm supposed to be a conductor. So I kind of went and did some of that for a little while. The opera thing was obviously also very, very stressful, but it was great to be making music at such a high level. Um, but ultimately, then I found my way into musical theater. I was hired as an associate conductor for Phantom of the Opera, the Toronto production, went up there for a couple years, and then back to New York for the same position for Showboat on Broadway. So I mean, I love that I was able to diversify, even though I dropped the oboe, obviously, and I even wasn't singing that much, but within music to find a way of doing many things. But the point of the story is that when I found my way back to here to the Ashland area, and was able to kind of get back into singing, and to realize, having found Southern Oregon repertory singers, that here was a group that was like far better than that group that I tried to sing in New York City. That excellence, that so much excellence is found here in our little valley. I found my way to U and to the university after I came here to be musical director of a show at the Shakespeare Festival called Enter the Guardsman in 2001. And one of the members of that cast, Christine Williams, who was singing in Repertory Singers, and I saw her in the dressing room with her music studying. It's like, oh, what's that choral music? What group is this? And so that's kind of indirectly how I found my way to you and to Rep Singers. That and you had invited diction coach Marcy Stapp from San Francisco to come up and do a master class, and I somehow got invited to that, and that's when I met you. I met Ellie Murray, also teaching voice at the university, and you then invited me to become part of the adjunct faculty, and yeah, I guess the rest is kind of history. With a little sideline into the harp, but maybe, I don't know if we're going to get to that or not. But there's so many different things, and an opportunity. There's so many opportunities to be a part of some wonderful music making here.
There are, and so many, as you say, talented, really talented singers and repertory singers, just to lead with that, which is why the group can do the things they can do. Being a wonderful conductor yourself, the conductor has an influence and sets some parameters, but the group does the singing, and
Yeah.
if they can't internalize and do all of that, then you're limited in the types of things you can do.
I,
Um,
I'm sorry. That's one other thing that I really want to get in, though, is speaking of the singers in the group, that I really appreciate about this group, that I think is unique, in that not only are there a number of music teachers in the group, but as a teacher, to be able to sing in a group with people who have been my students in the past. I just love how you have taken some of the finest students in the voice program at SOU and incorporated them into the choir. So we have this multi-generational thing going on, which is just fantastic.
it really is music for life, right? That's what we all feel. I mean, music is just what we do in whatever way we can. Um, well, you mentioned the harp, and this is such a one of many really nice things about you. But tell us about why did your work? Why did you learn harp?
um, that has to do with well, a couple of things. I was had left New York. I was working, well, not working, but I was living with my parents and being a caregiver for them, and not really having a whole lot to do with music, but kind of looking for, okay, how can I do music in a new way that's maybe not so stressful? You know, having just left the big city and kind of looking for a new relationship to music, that it wasn't going to be all performance based. And I was in a bookstore in Santa Cruz, California, and witnessing a teacher and a young student playing on little, small harps, and it was very simple music, and and I thought, but so beautiful, and I thought, wow, here's something that it just really impressed me as a way to make music in a simple way, but bringing beauty. Um, and the next part of that was that my father fell and broke a hip and shoulder and was in rehab for a number of months. And I offered to come in and play some light classical show tunes, things on the piano, uh, both because I know that he didn't like the kind of sing along with Mary activities that were going on. And I thought, okay, I'll offer this for free, and came in, and I was blown away by the number of people that showed up to this, in this rehab center, unscheduled event, but people who were pulled in on their wheelchairs, somebody who was wanted to hear the music and couldn't get out of bed. They wheeled the whole bed into the room, and this looking for a new relationship to music. Well, this was it. I mean, this was okay. This is a way that I can do music that's not stressful to me, and look at all the people that it reached and really affected them. And then I found out about this program called Music for Healing and Transition that actually trains musicians to play at the bedside. Um, my husband at the time built me a harp from a kit. Uh,
Whoa.
I found my way into this program, and actually, at this point, I had moved to Seattle. I was working with the Seattle Opera, and found a wonderful harp teacher there who was the harpist with the opera orchestra, but was also a really wonderful pedagogue. And I said, "Hey, I just got this harp. What do I do?" And she kind of got me started, and that was just before I moved here to Oregon, and uh, so I spent that first year while I was at the Shakespeare Festival also practicing the harp, and I'd go back up occasionally to Seattle for lessons and videotape them and come home, study the videotapes. And then I got hired to play with Providence Hospice and Cancer Center at the time. They had created a position for somebody to do therapeutic music on the harp. And I did that for 13 years. It was so fulfilling. Um, and uh, and then of course I graduated from the Celtic harp. I realized, okay, well, there's only so far that I can go musically, technically with the small harp. So I went ahead and got myself a concert pedal harp, and you've been so gracious in inviting me to play both with with repertory singers, and so I've had some wonderful harping opportunities with the group, the singing group as well.
Well, music it's so powerful and so moving for people and healing. I believe that, and I know you do too. And what a great thing to do. Well, so I was trying to think of what clip do we show when we're speaking with you, and the problem was you do so many things. It was like, well, do I feature her playing the piano or playing the harp or singing, because really you're extraordinarily talented. um, I ultimately decided, because it had just been Valentine's Day, I wanted to do a love text, uh, and picked the She Walks in Beauty, the Toby Hessian setting. We did two on that concert, and here was my thinking, because you contribute in all these ways, but your biggest contribution, Laurie, is just the excellence of your musicianship and your leadership from within. Um, I mean, I said you need leadership from everyone to do the kind of music that we do, but this piece in particular it features the alto section a little bit, but more than that, it doesn't sound complicated, but it was really hard. It was hard to hear, and more so, it had a layer of rhythmic complexity with triplets against other rhythms and things that singers aren't always as good at. And your professional level of musicianship, uh, if there's just a few people in there that you know they're going to be there, they're going to make that happen, because as a conductor you know that you can't control everything. Sometimes between the beats a lot of stuff goes on, and so you give the beat and you depend on the singers to internalize and do whatever complexity needs to be done. And you are one of the people who make the group happen. Without people like you, we would not be performing the music that we do, which is touching people and at the level that we do. So thank you for being here and for all you bring to the Rogue Valley. You're a treasure.
Well, Paul, you've always been so supportive of me, and I really appreciate it. And I appreciate all you do. Particularly having been a conductor, I know all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, how much more work it is just
Yeah.
putting these programs together. And oh gosh, your choices of music, and obviously putting together this group, and that you lead with such heart, and that comes out in the performances. That's how we move our audiences, and it's really comes down to you. And it's a pleasure being. I'm honored to be your colleague.
Oh my goodness. Well, um, thank you, and please enjoy this beautiful clip. I'll just end by saying Lord Byron evidently went to a party and saw this beautiful woman in a black sequin dress. She walks in beauty as the night. And it just struck me that there's a little metaphor there for the power of music, that we walk into we're taken by music at a, in our lives, and that we have to create beauty. And I know that's been, it sounds highfalutin when you say it like that, but the reality is that you and I and many others have given our lives to music and to creating beauty, and so we're happy to share it with you now.